Hello and welcome back to Joe Shoots Film. Today's video is about the Nikon F65, which I found in my grandparents' attic, along with some of the other cameras that I found, which I've done videos on those ones as well, so be sure to check them out. But today is about the Nikon F65. So, like I said, I found it in their attic, was rummaging around, seeing if there's anything I could take in this sort of field. And when I found this, I found the Agfa Soletta, and I also found the box brownie, which you can just about see up there behind the 620. And taking them all out for a spin, and this is the latest one that I've taken out. I took it around Southeast Wales and then got some colour film in it and took it over to Bath. So, a bit about the camera itself. The Nikon F65 was released in 2001 as an entry-level SLR camera. It features a CPU-controlled shutter with speeds of a 30th to 1/2000th of a second. It has a small LCD display on the top to dial in your settings, as well as pre-programmed settings like you'd find on most DSLRs, like portrait, landscape, and close-up mode, as well as many others. The top has a built-in flash that pops up. That later did become my enemy whilst using this camera, which we'll explain a bit more shortly. So I'll pop on the screen now some pictures I've taken, and I'll explain what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. So I've loaded in some Kentmere 400 ISO film into the camera. We'll see what we can do with it. Take it out for a spin. Bit of a different format today, but we'll give it a good go. So, after trying to go to my usual windmill out in the town next to me, I've instead found myself somewhere else because the road was shut and, well, basically, I'm here. I've basically ended up under the Severn Bridge. I'm not going to go out because I'm using my in-phone microphone, and it's very windy outside, so I'm guessing you won't be able to hear a single thing. But yeah, I've taken a few snaps here, and I guess we'll move on to the next location. Although it's a bit blurry, it does have nice contrast. It was about here that I gave up doing this sort of format because I had to end up going somewhere else. But I did manage to get a few out of it, so here are the ones that I did manage to do. But obviously, I did get there.
4 to 6 weeks later.
And the colour ones as well. So, what did I like about this little camera? One of the things I do like about it, just turn it on, you do have an autofocus, as you could hear then. You can see it moving like so. So point it at anything you like, and it should, might be a bit too close here, autofocus onto whatever you like. I also like, obviously, you can choose whatever lens you like, but this lens that I did come with is a 28 to 18mm lens. All of the settings are built in, like I said, onto the LCD screen, which is a nice clear little display. Very easy to follow buttons, autofocus, manual focus down by there. You have all of your settings you change with this little turner by here. On the top, you can insert a flash, although there is, like I said, a built-in flash, which I will get to soon. And there, you just twist to have all of your automated settings. Now, some cons about it, which I do have to say they do outweigh the pros, but it could be personal preference. I did find that it was quite a sensitive camera. The first bit of sensitivity is when you have lined up your picture. It's so sensitive, I'm hardly touching that there, you know, and it's taking those photos. Something which I found I was mistakenly taking photos that I didn't want to take, because it is just, there you go, that's as light as I can go, and then teeny bit more pressure and the photo is taken. Another very sensitive part of it is the flash would always pop up and would always go off, even if it was bright as day. I actually have my lights on and the big studio light, you can just about see it in the reflection there, and it still pops up the flash and uses it. Something which I found was quite annoying. It's very sensitive, especially when you're trying to be subtle and low-key about it. When you are looking through the viewfinder, you do have a small screen inside. So if I go back onto manual, basically, as you would see on any DSLR and other SLR similar to this, you have the bit in the middle and then your exposure by here, and you change the dial to get that exposure exactly right. But I found on this it was quite a wide range between this point on right in the middle, centered exposure, and dialing it left and right. It wouldn't exactly move too much, which caused some over and under exposed pictures. Another con is going to be on all these sorts of cameras. The lens, the focusing is a little bit loud. However, I like to think that the actual shutter itself, and when the film's actually in it, the progression is actually quite quiet for the sort of camera that it is. So overall, it's a nice little camera to be taking around if you just want to get out in the street, or it's particularly good with landscape shots, and obviously with that sharp autofocus you might be able to get some good close-ups with it as well. So it's good for a broad range of stuff. The only thing that I do not like about it is the sensitivity of that button and the light meter that is inside it that brings up this flash. Even in bright situations, it still wants to turn that flash on. You could also hold down the flash as you're trying to take it, but it does make that horrible little noise that probably isn't too healthy for the camera. If you're just getting into film photography, it's probably a good bit of kit to get started with, because you can just chuck it onto auto mode. You have this nice autofocusing lens. Don't have to think about it. If you just want the vibe, point and shoot, and you have your pictures. So what I'm basically trying to say is, if you want to do something more complex, mess around with settings, this probably isn't the one for you, because even though the little LCD screen is quite clear, it can be quite difficult to tune it all in. Another con with the camera is because it has the digitized ISO setting, I couldn't actually find a way to change the ISO within the camera, which means you can't play with light settings like you could on a normal SLR camera. I just had a search then, back when they were released in 2001. They were sold for about £300, and surprisingly the price hasn't actually come down crazy amounts since then. I was seeing ones from prices of about £45 to £150 on some websites, but that was a full kit with case, lenses, the works. So it's a good place to start, but I don't think I'll be using it as my main camera in the future. If you have one at home, or if you have any experience with them, just let me know in the comments or drop me a message on Instagram. But other than that, thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Remember to subscribe, go follow the Instagram and all that, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.